what do I do when the cravings get so bad that I just give up and drink? That's something that mostly everybody that's tried to get sober has gone through, something I went through multiple times before finally achieving sobriety. And this video will hopefully give you some tips, some insights on the things I went through and things that most people go through before getting to greener pastures. So if this is you, stick around. Hopefully you get some real value out of this video. My name is Mario Rodriguez and this is Rise Above. I'm going to show you guys holistic methods on how to achieve sobriety and rise above your situation and become someone that will be unrecognizable to yourself and to your loved ones. So, and I'm going to make this video hopefully short and sweet. This video really is going to be more about the message as opposed to tactics and habits as my previous videos were and my future videos will be, because I think that's really what's going to help most people, is me just kind of cementing into everyone's head the few but very powerful exercises and habits that will help not only achieve sobriety but sustain it long term. So I know one thing I dealt with on all my past attempts of getting sober was what happens after the first few hours of not drinking. Well, what usually happened is I would feel better and I would say, well, let me reward myself by going out and getting something to drink, and then I would start all over. If you watch some of my previous videos, I did mention that God has played a big part in not just my overall journey, but even that first initial, that click that happened, which was a vision. And that vision allowed me to see my why. And my why was, to put it as simply as I could, being around to see my daughters grow up, to see them start school, to see them have all their big moments. But really it was just a very small glimpse of seeing my oldest daughter, who was 2 at the time, seeing her at her first day of elementary school, preschool, and me not being in that picture. That allowed me to just kind of snap out of it and realize, okay, what am I doing? I love my kids more than anything, and I was becoming the one thing I said I was never going to do, become a father. Unfortunately, like the father that I had. And I'm sure many people here have had the same experience. We've grown up in painful situations that we told ourselves we'd never put our children through, and just to do the same things. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is find your why. When you find your why and you make it powerful enough to not only give up drinking and get through those first 2-3 days, which are in my opinion the worst. If you're able to really understand what that why is in a very clear way, then your why will be almost like the rocket ship that you hold on to that takes you out of the stratosphere that you're in and propels you into this whole new universe. And anytime that you even have the slightest thought of maybe thinking, okay, well, you know what, maybe I do have it under control, maybe I am able to go back, it's like, no, you remember your why you stopped in the first place. That's really the first, I would say, start there. Make a why that's powerful enough that, like I said, will give you the momentum to not only start but push through those first 2-3 days, and really understand that that's going to be your goal long term. And eventually it'll change, because like I said, my why was seeing my oldest daughter start school. And I can say that I'm blessed enough that I'm 3.5 years sober, and I still remember the day that I took the picture. I get a little emotional talking about it. The day that she started preschool, that I was at that point, I believe about 1 year and some months sober. And I've now been able to see both my daughters start preschool, graduate, and my oldest daughter is now in 1st grade. And I've been able to be there and, more importantly, remember all these memories. Second, speaking of goals, and this is actually very, hopefully, very an uplifting thing I'm about to tell you, which is when you're trying to get sober, the one thing you're trying to do is just give up drinking. And unfortunately, because of that, you don't really set too many goals outside of that one goal, which is to not drink today. And unfortunately, most of us fall short of that goal day in and day out for years. Um, I started drinking at around 16, 17, and I think I was 21 the first time I wanted to stop drinking. And I didn't achieve it till 37. Um, so the what you have to understand is that once you're able to achieve that sobriety, that you quickly are able to now start setting goals for yourself out past just not drinking anymore. Once you achieve those first days of sobriety and those days have become weeks, you're now able to really set goals like a better career, like going to places with your family, like doing things that you couldn't do before. So I think that's something very beautiful that most people don't realize when they're still drinking, which is if you're able to just get past those first few days, that you're not going to be focused on just not drinking anymore. That's just going to come with it. And you're now going to be a goal oriented person. And doing that then makes you almost a makes you a superhuman person in the sense where you become so proud of yourself that you start setting these goals that the average person who doesn't deal with addiction sets, because a lot of people are okay with the life they have. And once you've been in a situation like we've been in, which is we're rock bottom, and you're able to finally pull yourself out, you want to just kind of keep achieving more and more and more. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, and it's something that most people don't realize when they're struggling. Lastly, I'm going to say that if you're able to truthfully be in those moments when you were at your worst, and remember the smell, remember the taste, remember the feeling, if you're able to go back to those moments when you're feeling weak, when you're almost thinking something's going wrong in my life and I'm naturally inclined to go back to drinking, think back to those moments when you're on a 2 week bender, when you're waking up throwing up, when your spouse wants nothing to do with you, when you're just full of shame and guilt because you know you're letting your family down. As much as I'm sure other people will say, well, just forgive yourself. Yes, forgive yourself, but don't forget those moments, because holding on to that in a way of being able to access that pain is gonna help you not fall back into the trap of drinking weeks, months into your journey, perhaps even years. Quick story. I remember not too long ago, my daughter, I'm talking about a few months ago, my daughter saw Moana, and she hadn't seen Moana or at least I hadn't sat down and watched Moana for a couple years. And I remember there was a certain point in the movie where there's a giant crab singing, so shiny, and it was the craziest thing because as soon as that song came on, I had this disgusting taste of rum in my mouth, and I didn't realize that at the time when she was little and she would watch Moana was at the time where I was going through a lot of my worst days. Um, and it took a few times of watching that movie with her for that to kind of pass through. But that's kind of what I'm getting at, which is understand that your worst times are going to help you be strong in the future, and know that God has served everything for a purpose. So I hope this video helped somebody. Again, my goal is to keep these videos going, and hopefully God will give me the strength to sustain doing this at least for 30 days. I want to do 30 days consistent of posting videos, of real thought-provoking content that's going to not only, like I said, give you the tools, but hopefully give you the motivation and allow you to see what I've seen now, being years of free from alcohol dependency and being the father that I always not only wanted but wanted to be. So I'll give a prayer for all of you. tonight. Anybody watching, anybody struggling, may God be with you. May God give you the strength to persevere, to push through, to get through those first 24, 48 hours. Because like I said, if you're able to get through those first 2-3 days, everything else gets a lot easier. I promise. Love you guys.